Last month, I flew business class to Poland, non-stop, Boeing 787, lie flat seat with champagne on the takeoff. The Lot Polish airline website quoted me $7,511 for that round trip ticket. I paid 100,000 points and $178 in taxes. Only that. Same month, I flew business class to Sao Paulo, Brazil, non-stop, LATAM Airlines premium business class in the best seat on the plane. Their website quoted me $5,167 round trip. I paid 100,000 points and $59 in taxes. 2 trips and 200,000 points round trip business class and just $237 out of my pocket. Absolutely insane. In this video, I'm gonna show you the exact system I used, the cards, the transfer bonuses, the tools, and how to actually find and book these deals, and how to choose the best seat for no additional fees. By the end of this, you'll have everything you need to do the same thing. So let's get into it. We're gonna cover 3 chapters. Chapter 1 is Accumulate, how to build up enough points to actually make this a reality. Chapter 2 is Multiply, how to make the points you already have worth significantly more before you spend and use them. And chapter 3 is Redeem, where to find the deals, how to book them, and how to make sure you're sitting in the best possible seat in the plane, like I just did on this trip. So chapter 1 is Accumulation, and there are 2 ways to do this. The first is through sign-up bonuses, which is the fastest way to get large chunks of points in a short period of time. The second is making sure your everyday spending is earning you the right kind of points going forward. There's the wrong kind of points and there's the right kind. So with the right cards, you earn the right points. So let's start with the sign-up bonuses, because this is where most people leave the most amount of points just on the table. A sign-up bonus is exactly what it sounds like. You open up a new credit card, you hit a minimum spend in just the first few months on the card, and then the bank gives you a large chunk of points as a thank you for using the card. We're talking about 60, 80, sometimes even 150 or 250,000 points just on the sign-up bonus. The card I'd point to right now for personal spending is the American Express Gold Card. New cardholders can earn up to 100,000 membership reward points at American Express after hitting a spend threshold in just the first 6 months. Those 100,000 points are exactly what I used to book my round-trip business class flight to Poland. I transferred the points from American Express to ANA Airlines. That's All Nippon Airways. And I used ANA miles to book the business class seat on Lot Polish Airlines. So $7,500 in flights, 100,000 points, and $178 in just taxes. So I got a pretty damn good deal. The key thing to understand is sign-up bonuses are best timed alongside large purchases that you're already going to have. A home project, insurance renewal, a vacation you've already booked, things like that, so it's easy to hit the spend requirement. You're gonna spend that money regardless, so you might as well put it on a brand new card that's gonna give you a nice sign-up bonus. Now it's working towards your next business class seat, or maybe your first. The second piece is ongoing, making sure every dollar you spend is earning you the right kind of points. The Amex Gold Card earns 4 times membership reward points at restaurants worldwide and 4 times points at United States supermarkets. These are generally the larger categories of spend that most people have. So it means you can put majority of your spend on this card and earning 4 times points for it. And you're earning American Express points, which are transferable to airlines, which not all bank points are transferable. For example, US Bank and Bank of America, those are not points you want to accumulate because you cannot transfer those points to airlines. Chase, American Express, Citi, Capital One, those are bank transferable points. That's one of the reasons I'm recommending this American Express personal gold card, is because these points are transferable to airlines, and that's major. The thing most people miss is this. Every time you swipe a debit card or a cash back card or a card earning airline miles on a program you really won't use or get a good redemption on, that's a missed point. You're not spending less. You're just getting nothing back in return for something you should earn 2 to 4 points on. Okay, that's the goal. Earn as many points as possible for every dollar you spend. If you use a debit card, you earn no points. If you use a 2% cash back card, you're getting 2% cash back, but I would rather get 2 points or even 4 points and then being able to transfer those points to an airline and get much, much better value. For example, on the lot Polish flight, I use 100,000 points instead of spending the $7,000. Okay, I'm getting, what is that? 7 points, 7 cents per point. I'm getting 7 cents per point instead of 1 cent per point in the bank portal. So I'm getting 7 times more value when I do it this way. And that's why you want to earn bank transferable points at American Express. So you can, again, transfer them to airlines and get much, much more value. And you can transfer them to over 20 airline partners and hotels. So that flexibility is what makes them so powerful. And we're going to use this exact strategy specifically in Chapter 2. So for accumulation, the Amex Gold Card and the sign-up bonus and the 4 times points for every dollar spent on those categories is a no-brainer for most people. One sign-up bonus alone can be worth an entire one-way business class ticket, but in this example, it would give you a round-trip business class ticket, like I'm just showing you right now, to Poland and back. So now let's talk about how to multiply what you've built. Chapter 2 is multiplication, and this is the part most people skip entirely because they don't know it even exists. The idea is simple. Before you move your points to an airline, you wait for a transfer bonus. Transfer bonus is when a credit card program runs a promotion giving you extra miles, 25, 30, even 40%. I've seen as high as 160%. When you transfer the points, you get that in a bonus. So when you transfer to a specific partner during the limited window of time, you get that bonus. So for example, if it's a 50% bonus and you transfer 100,000 points, you then receive 150,000 miles or points in that loyalty program. So instead of transferring 100,000 Amex points and getting 100,000 Amex points, you're getting that bonus on top of it. That can be the difference between one trip or two. So for my Brazil trip, I used 2 different tools. And done right, that can be the difference between one business class trip or even 2. So for my Brazil trip, I used 2 different tools. And either one works, depending on what you have. So the first is the Atmos Summit card from Alaska Airlines. It's issued by Bank of America. This card currently carries a sign-up bonus of 100,000 Alaska Airline or Atmos Rewards points. And those points can book LATAM business class directly to Brazil. And that's exactly what I did. The second path is the Built Palladium card. The Built is unique because it earns transferable points when you use the card to pay rent or your mortgage payments or really anything else. So categories that most credit cards either don't cover or charge fees for, the Built card allows you to do. Again, it lets you pay rent with no transaction fee that's out of pocket. So if you pay rent or mortgage, you're already sitting on a point generating machine. You just need the right card, which is the Built card. And Built points, they're transferable one-to-one to the Atmos Rewards program. So you can build towards the same LATAM business class seat through your monthly housing payment and a 50,000 point sign-up bonus when you get the Built card. Either path leads to the same place, generating you points either directly with Atmos, Alaska Airlines, so you can then book this flight in their portal just like I did for only 100,000 points or 100,000 miles round trip in business class, okay? Or you get the Built card, you get the 50,000 point sign-up bonus on Built, you start spending the money on your rent or mortgage transactions and you build up to 100,000 Built points and then transfer your Built points to Alaska Airlines or to the Atmos Rewards program. So instead of spending $5,167 cash for this business class round trip ticket, I only used 100,000 points and $59 in taxes. If I were to book this same flight in the American Express portal, it would have cost me 510,000 points. It would have costed me 510,000 points in the American Express portal. But I was able to transfer the points from Built to Atmos, or I just got the Atmos points directly from the sign-up bonus, and I booked it for 100,000. So 100,000 points instead of 510,000 points in the bank portal, and instead of $5,100. So I got like an 80% discount, and I used my points, which is basically free. Absolutely incredible. So that's the power of accumulating the right points, as well as leveraging sign-up bonuses and transfer bonuses into a program where you can then book incredible flights. One of the things that Built did, the most recent transfer bonus Built ran for Atmos, Alaska Airlines, was between a 25% and 100% transfer bonus, which is exactly what I took advantage of. So I forgot if I transferred 50 or 100,000 in general, but for easy math, if you had 100,000 built points and you took advantage of this transfer bonus when you would get between 25% and 100% based on your status you have with built. So if you spend a lot of money with built, you can increase your status. So even if you had the lowest status at 25% bonus, if you transferred 100,000 points, you would result in 125,000 points because you get that 25% bonus. If you have the highest status at built, if you transfer 100,000 built points, it turns into 200,000 at most points. So that turns one round trip ticket into 2 round trip tickets just by getting the right card, the built card, getting the sign up at built, putting your rent or mortgage on the built card, earning the right points, and then seeing the transfer bonus be available and having status at built by spending money on the card and then transferring over and doubling your points. That's the power of using all these strategies together. Now, let me give you another concrete example of a transfer bonus in action, because this is one of the most powerful ones that I've seen recently, and this is something you can do as well with flexible points, bank transferable points. So both Amex and Chase recently ran a 40% transfer bonus to Virgin Atlantic. What does that mean exactly? Let's refresh. So if you were to transfer 100,000 points from Amex or Chase to Virgin Atlantic, you get a 40% bonus. So that results you in 140,000 points. But in this example I want to show you, if you transferred 12,000 points, it will result into 16,500 Virgin Atlantic points if you transferred in that promotional window, okay? So I'm gonna show you exactly what you can do with 16,500 points. For me, that's how I booked a flight from Cabo San Lucas to Salt Lake City on a Delta flight. Because Delta is in the same alliance as Virgin Atlantic, you can use Virgin Miles to book Delta flights. So this is me from Cabo to Salt Lake City on Delta for only about $100 in taxes, in addition to the $16,000 in fees. The sweet spot on Virgin is getting domestic flights for only 11,000 Virgin miles. So if you reverse engineer it, that would only cost 8,000 Chase or Amex points, because if you transfer 8,000 over to Virgin during this promotional period, that turns into a little bit more than 11,000. So basically, I consider that free. It's an amazing sweet spot with Virgin on how to book domestic or international Delta flights. So really, the flexibility of this system extends way beyond long-haul business class flights. It covers your weekend trips, your domestic routes. I found it to cover everything in my travels. The core principle of multiplication is accumulate your points in flexible point currencies like Amex, Chase, or Bilt, hold them, and when there's a transfer bonus, when that hits to a partner that you need, then transfer them and leverage that bonus. Never transfer your points without a reason to, or just whenever possible. Wait for the bonus. If you absolutely need to transfer them to book a deal, you can, but it's best if you see a bonus, 20 to 50% bonus or even 100% bonus, and then you can transfer your points into that currency. But just a heads up, once you transfer your points, you cannot transfer them back. So when you speculate on a transfer bonus, just have a good confidence that you're actually going to use them, because it's a point currency that covers flights that you're going to want to book. But if I see a really good transfer bonus, sometimes I'll speculate and move those points into the program. Best case scenario, you're looking and using one of these deal softwares that I'm about to show you in the next chapter, and you see a deal and you know you need to move points, for example, from Chase to Air Canada, and you see an Air Canada transfer bonus. Well, you just got lucky. You got the bonus on the perfect time where you need it. So let's jump into chapter 3. Chapter 3 is where everything comes together, finding the deals, booking the flights, and making sure you're in the right seat, the best seat. This is the part where most people get wrong because it's complicated, because they don't know which tools to use. I'm going to show you the exact ones that I use. The first tool is a deal newsletter. This is how you find out about award sales, about transfer bonus windows before they close. So my favorite is Thrifty Traveler Premium. So 2 days ago, literally 2 days ago, they sent me an email with the subject line, American Airlines Business Class to London and to Germany from 42,000 miles each way nonstop. That same route was costing over 150,000 miles just last week before this deal dropped. So the difference between knowing about it and not is the difference between booking that seat or watching someone else fly in it or paying a ridiculous amount of cash to book it. Thrifty Traveler even gives you a heat scale, so they rate how hot the deal is and estimate how long it's going to last. Some of these windows are pretty short, 48 to 72 hours, but they're not all short. You have to read and check the magnitude of the deal. Some of them you can book a month later, but generally if you see a good deal, it's something you want to hop onto. One thing about points is when you book flights on points, you often can cancel for no cancellation fee and get all your points back and get the taxes back, or it's a very small fee. So for the United States carriers like United, American Airlines, and I think it's just those, you can cancel your flight with no penalty whatsoever. If you book Delta, there's a cancellation fee. If you book Air Canada or any of these international airlines, when you cancel a flight, they'll charge you between $30 and $70 to cancel that flight, sometimes as high as $150. But a lot of times you can book flights with your points just as placeholders. I do it all the time. So if I see a good deal on a newsletter, I'll book a placeholder flight if it's something that I might want to fly. And if I don't fly it, I'll either cancel it for free or I'll cancel for $30. It's sometimes I'll pay $70 depending on the airline, but it's pretty killer. It gives you a lot more flexibility. But a newsletter subscription is the cheapest and most effective thing you can add to this system, okay? The second tool is Seats.Aero. This is where the real search happens, okay? Seats.Aero is an award search engine that scans availability across multiple airline and loyalty programs simultaneously, almost like Google Flights, but for points. It does this in real time, so instead of logging into 6 different airline websites and checking availability one by one, you put in your origin airport, your destination, your dates, or even a date range, and it shows you every program that has award space available. Award space means you can book it on points. It shows you exactly how many points you would need to book it. It shows you what banks you need to transfer from. So I'm gonna pull this up right now and show you on the screen on what I'm seeing from the United States to Europe. On May 17th, right now, I can see business class availability via Virgin Atlantic, Lufthansa, American Airlines, Turkish Airlines, and many more. Programs ranging from about 47,500 points all the way up depending on the route and depending on the airline. You can sort by the price, by the program, by the date, etc. It's very easy to navigate. And you can also create alerts to be notified when space on a specific route opens up. So one of the main values of Seats.Aero is it shows you the award space without having to check all these different websites. And based on what's available, it shows you what you can book right now. What I would do though is after you see it's available, I would then go to the airline website, make an account, and actually search the flight on the airline website to do what I call confirm the deal. The software will show you the deal. I like to log into the airline and confirm the deal. That often requires you to make a free airline account. Like if it's showing you a deal on Air Canada, you want to go to Air Canada, make a free account, and then you can search award space or search with miles or book with miles. It's different than cash. There's a cash search and there's a points or miles search. You want to click that. So then once you see the deal on Air Canada, for example, and you confirm the deal, well, then now you can transfer your points from the bank into that specific program, Air Canada. But one thing to consider is point transfers are almost always irreversible. Okay, so confirm the availability before you send a single point or mile there, because once you've sent it, you can't move it back. When you do make the transfer, the points will take anywhere between 5 minutes to multiple days. On the confirmation page of the transferring, you go to the Chase portal, the American Express portal, you go to points, and then transfer points to airline partners, you connect your account, and then once you transfer them, it's gonna say it's gonna take a few days, but I've noticed in most scenarios, it only takes 10 minutes to maybe an hour for the points to transfer. Some airlines like ANA, it can take a couple days. But even if it says it's going to take 2 days, chances are it's only going to take 10 minutes. So I would refresh your airline account, come back in a couple minutes, 10 minutes, and then see if the points are there. Once they're there and the deal looks good, you should probably book it before someone else books the deal. For my Poland flight, I transferred Amex membership reward points to ANA. I made the account, I connected it, the ANA account to Amex, then I transferred it over, okay? So for my Poland flight, I transferred Amex points into ANA. Okay, so I made the ANA account. I connected my ANA account with American Express. Then I transferred the points to ANA, and that actually takes a couple days. That's like the only one that takes like a few days. I came back, the points were there, and then I ended up booking that LOT Polish flight on the ANA website because LOT Polish and ANA are in the same airline alliance. So that allows you to use your ANA points to book a LOT Polish flight. Not all the time, but in this scenario and in many scenarios. But for Brazil, though, I use the Atmos rewards. I earned the points through the Summit card that I talked about. I transferred from Bilt as well. And then once the points were in Alaska Airlines or Atmos, then I was able to book the LATAM flight directly through the Atmos program, just right on the app. But one thing that's worth knowing is different loyalty programs sometimes have different access to the same award space at different prices. So for example, if you see award space on Air Canada, you can book a flight for 70,000 points, but if you go to ANA, you might see that same flight for 50,000 points. I actually see this all the time. That's actually a pretty good strategy right there. If you go to Seats.aero and you see there's a flight for 70,000 points on Air Canada, go manually check on ANA, and you might be able to see that same flight, but for 50,000 points. So instead of transferring 70,000 from Amex to Air Canada to book the flight, sometimes you can book the same exact flight on ANA for 50,000 miles, which you can transfer 50,000 points from Amex into ANA and get it for 50 instead of 70. I've done this several times. So the last step, and this is the step that most people skip entirely, it's seat selection. So before you confirm any business class seat, I want you to look up the exact flight number and the aircraft type on seatmaps.com. I do this all the time. So business class seats is not a one size fits all. There's different seat layouts. Even some airlines have different seat layouts depending on the aircraft type. So some seats have direct aisle access, others are a little bit staggered. Some are closer to the galley, closer to the bathrooms. There's just different layouts, and you want to make sure you're able to book on an aircraft that has a good seat layout. For example, on Qatar business class, you can get Qatar normal business class or Qatar Q suites. You'll book the same Qatar business class ticket, but depending on the aircraft, you can get a completely different product. If it's an old layout, if it's an old seat, it's not that good. If it's their Q suites model, it is like so much better. Same with American Airlines. There's the new seat layout with new privacy doors, and then there's the old one. Like, they're both good, but you kind of want to know what you're getting, especially if you're comparing two, and you just want to know, like, when I spend my points on this ticket, I know what I'm getting, okay? So you can do that research through seatmaps.com. I do it all the time before pretty much every flight. So some rows, they'll have more space, better window placement, extra privacy. So it's highly worth to just research for 5 to 10 minutes before you book to, again, understand what you're booking. Especially if you're booking a 9-hour overnight flight to Poland or Brazil, you want to make sure you have a good seat. So after you book it, choosing the right seat is crucial. And pro tip, row 1 almost always has more space. So when I fly on LOT Polish, I book row 1 because there's just more space. When I flew down to Sao Paulo on LATAM business class, on my way down, I booked seat 1A. It was a window seat and it was the bulkhead. So I had literally the best seat on the entire plane of hundreds of people. And that suite 1A, because it's the bulkhead, was so much more spacious. On my return flight, they actually changed my flight, and I don't know, I thought I chose the seat, but maybe either I didn't choose the seat or they had to move me because there was some routing thing. But anyways, I was sat in 10L. 10L, I still had a window seat, and it was still good for sure, but there was much less space. Especially me seeing the contrast between 1A bulkhead and 10L, it was way less space for my feet. I couldn't really kick up my feet, like my knee on my other leg like that. Again, still comfortable, but just not optimal. So it takes a little extra effort to just research the aircraft type, and then once you book it, you get your confirmation number, and then you go to the airline directly. So for me, when I book my LOT Polish flight, I book it on ANA. They give me a confirmation code. Then I go to LOT Polish and book my seat on LOT Polish. You always have to book your seat with the operating airline, not where you book it, but with the operating airline. And sometimes the confirmation code is different. Sometimes it's the same. Other times they'll give you 2 confirmation codes, one for the operating airline and one for the booking. So it always is worth the effort to go choose your seat. So right after I book, I get the confirmation number, I go to the operating airline, and I book my seat. And that's how I score the best seat on the plane most of the time. And by choosing the best seat versus a less ideal seat, it could be the difference of like actually sleeping. Like if you have a seat that's right next to the bathroom and you can hear the flushing and people are standing there and you hear the door, you might not sleep that good. If you choose 1A away from the bathroom or, another window seat away from the bathroom, then you can sleep a lot better. So for example, I literally slept for almost 6 hours straight on the flight, tracked on my Fitbit. It was absolutely incredible. Definitely the best sleep I've ever got on a plane. And that's how it should be with these premium seats, if picked correctly. If you're gonna use this many points on a flight like this, you should pick the best seat that you possibly can. And if you're in a preferred seat, then you'll be able to sleep just fine. So in summary, the Redemption Toolkit, Thrifty Traveler Premium for deal alerts sent to your email, Seats.Aero to search and confirm availability across programs, and then book through the airline once you've confirmed the deal. And always before booking, check seatmaps.com for the specific aircraft and the layout to make sure you choose the best possible seat. So let's bring this all together. Accumulate, you use the Amex Gold Card for the sign-up bonus and the 4 times points on the top 2 categories, or potentially other sign-up bonuses as well, but that's one I would recommend. You want to build up your balance of flexible, transferable bank points like Amex membership reward points or Chase points as well. Then multiply. You want to use your Atmos Summit card or your Built Palladium card for additional earning of points. And always wait for the transfer bonus before you move the points to an airline unless you actually need them right now. Then it's redeem. So subscribe to Thrifty Traveler Premium and you can catch the deal alerts the moment they go live. So you don't drop the ball and don't miss the deals. Then you can also use Search.Aero to find and confirm the availability across every program in the game, basically. Book once you've verified the space and spend less than 2 minutes on seatmaps.com so you know exactly where you're sitting. 2 trips. LOT Polish Airlines business class, Chicago to Krakow, Poland, round trip, $7,511 in cash. LATAM Airlines premium business class suite from Miami to Sao Paulo, round trip, $5,100 and $67. Total cash value, $12,678. What I paid, 200,000 points and $237 in taxes just last month. So this system works. It takes a little setup, getting the right cards, learning which newsletters to follow, understanding how to use the deal software, and actually having the confidence to transfer those points and then book that flight. But once it's running, every dollar you spend and every month you pay rent is working towards your next business class seat.